Going to be presenting a very popular topic, which is the technology roadmap to Industry 4.0. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to him for about 15 minutes worth of content, and then we'll move directly into some Q&A.
Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay out there. It's kind of fun watching all the names pop in the list here. A lot of you I know and have worked with, and it's great to connect in this format. I apologize. I have 6 kids, and I heard one of them just scream like a death scream out there. So I apologize if that is distracting. Hopefully you couldn't hear that. But I'm really excited to share a piece of our technology roadmap for the coming 6 to 8 months and talk to you a little bit about that. And, I've been with KCF for almost 10 years, and I'm really passionate about our mission to transform American manufacturing. And, I came across this quote recently. Let's see here. Okay. So this is by Klaus Schwab. None of us have ever heard of the guy, but he's the founder of the World Economic Forum, and he was talking about IoT, and he's an influential guy in the world. And he said, there's never been a time of greater promise or greater peril. And I think all of us recognize that the Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, these are synonyms. We recognize how potentially disruptive they are going to be. They can dramatically, when we talk about asset health, IoT has the promise to dramatically reduce time to repair, reduce cost of maintenance, increase visibility of the importance of asset reliability, to get buy-in all across the whole corporate structure. But these things are pretty new. The term IoT and Industry 4.0, it's hard to believe, but they've only been around for about 6 or 7 years. And so even though it feels like we've been talking about them forever, they're new. And so a lot of people are struggling with it. And, when it's done right, it has great promise, some of the things I talked about. But if we do it wrong, we can spend a lot of time and energy just spinning our wheels and really becoming frustrated and not seeing benefits. One of the other interesting statistics or charts I saw recently was this. We often think that we have this big advantage in North America because of our technology leadership and our skills, but when it comes to Industry 4.0 and IoT, for whatever reason, we're really lagging the world, and particularly China, which is scary when you think about the futures of our own employment and particularly our children's. I really want to see the United States be a leader here and not a laggard. And that's one of the reasons I'm just really passionate about working at KCF. I love being here, and I love working with all of you as we try to implement these technologies and improve our facilities. And so when you start talking about IoT and Industry 4.0, usually a couple questions come up. Recently I was at a foundry, and we're looking at these bridge cranes that go up through the facility and move materials around, and they're critical to that company's operations. And the customer was bemoaning how complicated and difficult it is to get reliability data on those bridge cranes. And honestly, with our current product offering, it's a challenge. We don't have a great solution, but I'm going to talk about that. And then secondly, so how do we get the data? That's a big challenge we're all up against. And then secondarily, once you have the data, how do we make sense of it? There's a paper customer I work with frequently who has over 4,500 of our sensors in their plant. That's just our vibration sensors. Think of all the other sensors and things that person's dealing with, and it becomes noise. You get so many alarms. This person gets dozens and even sometimes hundreds of alarms every day. And how do you even begin to respond or make sense of that? And so these are two challenges that we're pretty passionate about solving, and I'm going to talk about today. How do we get the data, and then how do we reduce that noise and really make sense of it all? So if you're a current customer, you're familiar with our Generation 3 vibration sensor that we ship right now. We've sold hundreds of thousands of these. They're extremely powerful. They solve, typically they solve the applications we see, they probably solve 85 to 90% of them. You just stick it on the machine, they connect up almost instantaneously to the cloud, and you're collecting data. And they're really powerful, particularly on most applications that we run against, which are, continuously operating machinery, pump motors, things that just run continuously. But they have some limitations, and they've got a temperature limitation. So, again, if we go back to that paper customer with 4,500 sensors, they don't even have any on, for example, the dryer section of their paper machines, which are a large portion of their assets and are really significant and important that they keep them running. So because there's a battery in there, we just can't operate at those temperatures. And then intermittent machinery, like I talked about, the bridge crane, robotics are similar. Because our sensor operates on a timer, if you have a machine that's continually changing direction, starting, stopping, if you're just randomly sampling on a time interval, sometimes you're getting the machine stop, sometimes it's running, it's hard to catch it in a steady state condition. And so there's been a gap in our offering in that area as well. And so today I'm really excited to announce the release of a new product called our IoT Hub. And if you've been a customer with us for a while, you may have heard about this, but this product, we're ready to announce the release of it. We're in the very final stages of FCC approvals, and we expect those in the next week or two, and we'll be ready to ship these. And so really excited about the promise this product brings. It's not a replacement for our existing sensor, but it's a solution to that, 15 to 20% of applications that we weren't able to reach before. And so this device is wireless, just like our existing sensor, but it has the capability to connect multiple sensors to it. So up to 7. Pictured here are vibration sensors. So these particular sensors will have the same characteristics of our existing vibration sensor. And then we'll add some additional features later. So there's vibration like we have today. We will be adding an A to D adapter in the coming month or so. And so what this will allow you to do is connect your 4 to 20 milliamp or 0 to 10 volt style sensor. And we'll be able to support any of those. We will build an IEPE, ICP style adapter. So this will allow you to connect to your more traditional piezoelectric accelerometers. So if you're a vibration analyst, what that means is much higher resolution, higher sampling rates, and opens up a new, whole new range of applications that we can monitor. And then lastly, and maybe even most exciting, this can be powered. So there'll be several options. It can be 24 volt DC powered, it can be battery powered, or it could be 120 volt AC powered. And so you eliminate the need to, if you go with a powered option, you eliminate the need for batteries. Of course, the trade-off is now you got to run power to it, of course, but can become really a great solution in certain scenarios, particularly where battery maintenance is challenging. And then lastly, it can be triggered. So if you go back to this bridge crane example, we can wire a contact from the motor or some other, or a PLC directly to the hub. And what we would do, for example, in that case is when that bridge crane activates and starts to move on the rail, we'll give it, we'll get the signal from the motor that the motor is started. Maybe we'll wait 1 second or 2 seconds to allow it to accelerate, and then we'll measure the vibration at that moment so that we always are capturing the vibration at a steady state when in this case, the bridge crane's running at normal speed. And lots of applications, robotics. If you think about a robotic arm, particularly in automotive, there's just thousands of them. We can pre-program a movement of that robot that it takes every so often, for example, that might exercise the joint. in such a way that we can measure it, or if the process, the cycles in the process lend itself, we can just pick a position in the movement where we take the vibration, and so we're always capturing it in the same spot. And this is going to open up, you know, that remaining 20% applications. I think it could be a real game changer for those. And then the other thing that we're going to do with the hub is release some kits. So for example, because it can mount multiple sensors and multiple sensor types, we now have the ability to connect, you know, an array of oil quality sensors where we could do particulate counting and things like that. With steam traps, you need an ultrasonic sensor and a couple thermal sensors. Power monitoring, where we would do, you know, we're considering going so far as motor current signature analysis, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a methodology similar to vibration. You can pick up a lot of information about the health of that motor through that. And then we're investigating thermography. So the hub is going to open up a whole series of new applications, and we're going to sell these kits so that it's very easy for you to just instrument out all these different asset types in your plant. So that's the hub. Normally, I wish we were in person. I would love to see your faces. I would stop for questions right here. We're going to save the questions to the end. But if you have questions about the hub, just write them down, or you can throw them in the chat right now, and I'll be sure to come back and answer those. So that's the hub. That's the how do we get data easily. We think between the existing sensor and the hub, you know, we really can cover all of your applications. And then, you know, when we start talking about analytics, how do we make sense of it all? Well, you know, I'll be honest with you, we struggle with the same concepts here. You may have hundreds or thousands of sensors. We have hundreds of thousands of sensors coming at us all the time. You know, we have our Sentry service, and so we deal with the same challenges, and we understand your pain. You know, just some statistics, we're on tens of thousands of assets. These are machines we're currently monitoring right now. We've got well over 1 million machine months of experience monitoring those assets. We've got tens of billions of vibration measurements and hundreds of terabytes of data. And so it's a lot. And, you know, how do you deal with it? Well, the next product I'm really excited to talk about today and to announce is Smart Diagnostics 4.0. So the web interface you're all familiar with is Smart Diagnostics 3. What we've done is, over the last 6 months, we've been working really hard on this, and we've rewritten it from the ground up. Now, it's going to be a phased release throughout the remainder of this year, but all of these things we'll have in your hands sometime between now and the end of the year. And so what we're doing with SD4 is, you know, complete rewrite, mobile friendly. As you can see on the right, every screen on there was designed for mobile first. And so we realize that most of you are moving around all day, and you get home and things happen, and so we want you to be able to access your data on your phone. A lot of the screens, you know, particularly like the trend page, which we're calling the workbench, they're remaining unchanged, so you don't have to worry about losing features or things that you love. We're going to add a lot of new features to this page, like the ability to filter the tree via search or by alarm condition, but by and large that page will remain the same. But there's a lot of new features that are going to help you make sense of your data. And so one of the things that we're adding, because we have so much experience and so much data looking at all these different asset types, what we're developing now is a new feature called Damage Score. And what Damage Score does is it looks at all of the different sensors that you have on an asset, whether they be vibration or pressure or anything else, and we compare the health of that asset, the numbers we're seeing off those sensors, to the best-in-class assets across all industries. And so, you know, if you've got a 1,000 horsepower motor, you know, we monitor tons of those, and so we know what a healthy one looks like. And so what we're able to do then is take all that data, boil it down to a simple 0 to 10 number. You don't lose access to all of the other trends and indicators and all of that, But to help you make sense of it all, we're providing this new damage score. And you're going to begin to see this damage score show up throughout the software. Smart Diagnostics 4 is going to be asset-centric. So if you use our software currently, you set up your alarms on indicators and you get emails about indicators. And if you're like my friend in the paper mill with 4,500 sensors, all with dozens of indicators, it turns into a lot of emails. And so what we're going to do is boil that all to the asset. So you'll only get notified about asset conditions. If 10 indicators all go into alarm, you only get one email. I think that makes sense, and we all agree that that's a better way. And additionally, there will be pages like this in our workbench where you can see all of your assets as cards. The big number on there is the damage score, and you can sort them. So you can say, show me the top 10 worst assets. You can filter, so show me the top 10 worst pumps, or show me the top 10 worst assets in such and such a location. And so this is a way, without having to dive into all the trends and interpret them, you can quickly get a glance at, what are your problematic assets and monitor them over time. Dashboards are going to be released. That's the first feature of Smart Diagnostics 4.0 that you'll receive. And we expect to have that in your hands in the coming weeks. And without getting the details of the screen, basically what we're going to have is this high-level dashboard at the corporate level and the location level that compares all your different asset types. It can compare your locations. You can compare how is my location compared to, how does the asset health in my location compare to all the other locations in my corporation? Create a little friendly competition between each other. Or say, of all the asset types in my facility, which are the ones that are performing the worst that I need to target? And so we really think that this is going to bring power to the user, particularly some of the higher level users, perhaps the corporate reliability leaders, plant managers, and get a real quick snapshot into the current state of the asset health in their plants, and also, a brief historical view, maybe over the last 3 to 6 months, how are we trending? And so really excited about the power that's going to bring, and hope to have that to you again by the end of this month. And then lastly, the last thing I'll share today is automated diagnostics. So this is an example. This is running in an automotive plant right now. This is live data as of yesterday. We're monitoring exhaust fans in their paint booths. And rather than just send an alarm that says, you've got high peak acceleration, for example, we're actually doing diagnostics. And so you can see here on the red one, we've got fan misalignment, and we're suggesting they align the fan. And we're also saying, there appears to be maybe an imbalance in the motor. So check that as well. And so on, looseness, bearing failures. So these are all the types of failures we're looking for. And we really think that this is going to help simplify. So when you get an alarm, it's not just that you got a high value, it's going to tell you what's actually wrong so you can immediately respond in the correct way. And also, just thinking long term, we always talk about the silver tsunami of all of the, experienced, knowledgeable people retiring. This is a way to involve other people that maybe don't have the deep vibration experience and expertise, but can still monitor and react to conditions on your equipment. And so, between the damage score, rolling things up to the asset, the automated diagnostics and these dashboards, combined with the mobile interface, we really think SD4 is a game changer for helping with this data overload problem. And so, if I just circle back to the beginning questions, how can I easily get all my data? And man, once I get that data, like, what do I do with it? It's more than I asked for. The answer is, well, we've got some technology for you, and really it's to partner with KCF. These are problems we've been working on that we're passionate about, and I think we are uniquely capable of doing with our expertise, experience, and the people that we have on our staff. And the proof is in the pudding. We've saved our customers over $1.5 billion just in the last 2 to 3 years. And so if you're struggling with how to implement IoT and Industry 4.0 in your own industry, I encourage you to reach out to your sales guy and sign up. These technologies that I share with you today are going to be available shortly, and if you reach out to them, we can get you on the early adoptee list and get these in your hands soon. And with that, I'll turn it over. I think Joe's our MC here, and he's going to moderate some questions, but I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
So Mark, it looks like we do have a few coming through. So I'll start with the first one. Will the Smart Hub have the capability for two-way PLC communication? If the process sends a trigger, can the Smart Hub send data or alerts to the PLC and existing cloud connection?
Great question, James. Appreciate you asking that. So the hub itself will not have two-way communication. So the trigger will come in, it'll trigger the data collection that'll send to the cloud. But we do have other ways to connect to a PLC. So we have an OPC connector. We have a whole product called Smart Connect that has some capabilities there too. And so, there's a number of ways we could solve that problem. And, I'd be happy to take that offline and understand your problem a little better. But, we've done that many times and connected to PLCs and other processes in the plant.
And a follow-up question to that, can it stay on continuous?
Pete, good to see you, man, or at least read your question. The current generation of the hub is not built for continuous operation. This is a feature that's been requested a lot, so it is on our backlog, but the current hub technology limits our capability of doing that. So it's the characteristics of the sample will be very similar to what we have today with our vibration sensor. It's just you'll be able to control the start of that acquisition.
Excellent.
I was a little.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Sorry. You can talk.
I was just going to move on to the next question, but if you had something that you wanted to comment on the previous question, by all means, go ahead.
I was a couple minutes late, okay, so I missed. It's you using different company to develop for you all this communication and new features of software.
Mike, I'm not sure I understood your question. Are we using another company to develop those? Is that what you asked?
Yes, because I was a little bit late, okay, I maybe misunderstood.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. No, all this development is done in-house at KCF. We're really proud to have that technology development in-house, and we think it's the only way to really build these technologies and be responsive to our customers in the time frame required.
But my question, Ford is trying right now to develop their own software, okay, to accept all the data and interpret the software in our Ford end, okay. But will it affect our design of communication to your to your sensors?
I see. I follow your question. Okay. No, this is the hub will communicate the same way the existing sensors do to our cloud. Nothing changes there. The base stations remain. And Smart Diagnostics 4.0, when I say it's a complete rewrite, it's a complete rewrite of the user interface. All of the back-end systems are the same. So this, in the short run, this has no effect on any of the integration work we've been doing.
Next question. Will the hub and software allow phase monitoring between different points for more in-depth diagnosis of the balance and alignment issues?
Brian, great question. And I think Brian was my predecessor. He did this last week, right? So thanks for being here, Brian. The hub has that capability, and that's one of the features we intend to build out. It's not, we're not there yet. That won't be in the initial deployment, but yeah, with that triggered acquisition and multiple sensors, we can acquire simultaneously on all of them, which then allows us to do that type of diagnostics you're talking about. So there's some work to do on the software, and honestly, we'd be looking for someone interested in that, a customer interested in that, to help kind of guide that development effort. So if that's something you're interested in, Brian, you know, I'd love to have more conversations with you about that.
How long is the cable on the hub?
I knew that question was going to come up, and unfortunately, I don't have. There's several different lengths, I guess is the answer. There's several options. I don't have those in front of me. I'll get those to you, Keith, and make sure you have those. But it can go. It uses a communication protocol that lets us go thousands of feet. We won't have 1,000-foot length cables, but the potential's there to make them as long as we need to.
Let's see. Next one, is the diagnostics portion of SD 4.0 user inputted, or is it built into the software?
Christina, thanks for the question. So if I understand the question correctly, if you think about, and correct me if I'm missing your question here, Christina, I apologize, we're not face to face to help clarify this, but typically diagnostics, you know, this is a machine learning application. Typically you have to train those models. I believe that's what you're talking about. So feed it good examples of good, examples of bad. What we're doing is, you know, we're already on thousands and thousands of assets. We have that data. Our Sentry team has already marked that data. And so we're building the models based off the information we already have. But there will be an additional layer. So when you get one of those alarms that says, you know, your fan's out of alignment, one of the things you can do is say, no, it wasn't alignment, it was a bearing issue, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And so it will get smarter over time and get trained to your specific asset. And so hopefully that answers your question, Christina.
Used
yeah.
for sensors or for wireless?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Okay, this hub is used for wireless sensors or for wired sensors?
The hub, and let me just flip to the picture real quick. I think that'll answer your question. I realize you were a little late getting here. The hub is a wireless device. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to navigate Teams and PowerPoint. We'll just say that the hub itself, so there's a central hub that is wireless, but then there are sensors that you wire to it. So typically you would install the hub on, you know, near your asset. It would communicate wirelessly back to the base station, and then you would wire these sensors to the specific monitoring points. And the reason you would do that would be to take advantage of the triggering, or you know, if you've got a high temperature application, there's no battery in those vibration sensors on the hub, so you can stick them right on a high temperature application, like a dryer, you know, or you know, some other hot piece of equipment.
Yeah, but currently we use only wireless sensors. We don't use wired sensors.
And that's fine. You don't need to change. I mean, we're not eliminating any products. This is a new product that is built to address specific niche scenarios where that wireless is not capable of doing everything the customer needs.
Okay.
And it looks like we are right about at time, Mark. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to email sales@kcftech.com or any of the presenters here today, and we'll be happy to answer those questions via email for all of you. I want to thank everyone for joining today. I know this was right up against lunch, so we don't want to stand between you and your meal. Do appreciate your engagement and the thoughtful questions that came through. Thank you, Mark, for taking time to present the material and communicate to our customers. And have a wonderful rest of the week, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.